Good morrow, scholars. Welcome back to Star Wars. This is chapter 13, page 252. A cheering, gleeful throng of technicians, mechanics, and other inhabitants of the Alliance headquarters formed around each fighter as it touched down and taxied into the temple hangar. Several of the other surviving pilots had already vacated their ships and were waiting to greet Luke. On the opposite side of the fighter, the crowd was far smaller and more restrained. It consisted of a couple of technicians and one tall humanoid droid who watched worriedly as the humans mounted the scorched fighter and lifted a badly burned metal hulk from its back. "Oh my, R2!" 3PO pleaded, bending close to the carbonized robot. That's a funny way to describe what happened to him. "Can you hear me say something?" His unwinking gaze turned to one of the techs. "You can repair him, can't you?" "We'll do our best," the man studied the vaporized metal, the dangling components. "He's taken a terrible beating." "You must repair him, sir. If any of my circuits or modules will help, I'll gladly donate them." See, that reminds me of that one friend I was talking about in the last video. I told him one time that if he ever needed to, and we were matched, I would donate a kidney to him if he needed it. And he told me since I have diabetes, he wouldn't want it. They moved away slowly, oblivious to the noise and excitement around them. Between robots and the humans who repaired them, there existed a very special relationship. Each partook a little of the other, and sometimes the dividing line between man and machine was more blurred than many would admit. The center of the carnival atmosphere was formed by three figures who battled to see who would compliment the others the most. When it came back to congratulatory backslapping, however, Chewbacca won by default. There was laughter as the Wookiee looked embarrassed at having nearly flattened Luke in his eagerness to greet him. "I knew you'd come back," Luke was shouting. "I just knew it. I would have done nothing but dust you if you hadn't sailed in like that, Han." Solo had lost none of his smug self-assurance. "Well, I couldn't very well let a flying farm boy go up against that station all by himself. Besides, I was beginning to realize what could happen, and I felt terrible about it, Luke, leaving you to maybe take all the credit and get all the reward." Yeah. As they laughed, a lithe figure, robes flowing, rushed up to Luke in a very unsenatorial fashion. "You did it, Luke, you did it," Leia was shouting. She fell into his arms and hugged him as he spun her around. Then she moved to Solo and repeated the embrace. Expectantly, the Corellian was not quite as embarrassed. Suddenly awed by the adulation of the crowd, Luke turned away. He gave the tired fighter a look of approval, then found his gaze traveling upward to the ceiling high overhead. For a second he thought he heard something faintly like a gratified sigh, a relaxing of muscles a crazy old man had once performed in moments of pleasure. Of course, it was probably the intruding hot wind of a steaming jungle world, but Luke smiled anyway at what he thought he saw up there. There were many rooms in the vast expanse of the temple which had been converted for modern service by the technicians of the Alliance. Even in their desperate need, however, there was nothing too clean and classically beautiful about the ruins of the ancient throne room for the architects to modify. They had left it as it was, save for scouring it clear of creeping jungle growth and debris. For the first time in thousands of years, the spacious chamber was full. Hundreds of rebel troops and technicians stood, assembled on the old stone floor, gathered together for one last time, before dispersing to new posts and distant homes. For the first time ever, the massed ranks of pressed uniforms and polished semi-armor stood arrayed together in a fitting show of Alliance might. The banners of the many worlds which had lent support to the rebellion fluttered in the gentle breeze formed inside. At the far end of the long open aisle stood a vision gowned in formal white, barred with chalcedony waves. I don't know. Leia Organa, Signet of Office. I don't know, I just guessed at that word too. Several figures appeared at the far end of the aisle. One massive in hirsute showed signs of running for cover, but was urged on down the open row by his companion. It took several minutes for Luke, Han, and Chewie, and 3PO to cover the distance to the other end. They stopped before Leia, and Luke recognized General Dodonna among the other dignitaries seated nearby. There was a pause, and a gleaming, familiar R2 unit joined the group, moving to stand next to a thoroughly awestruck 3PO. Chewbacca shuffled nervously, giving every indication of wishing he were someplace else. That would be me. Solo silenced him as Leia rose and came forward. At the same time, banners tilted in unison, and all those gathered in the Great Hall turned to face the dais. She placed something heavy and golden around Solo's neck, then Chewbacca's, having to strain to do so, and finally around Luke's. Then she made a signal to the crowd, and the rigid discipline dissolved as every man, woman, and mechanical present was permitted to give full vent to their feelings. As he stood awash in the cheers and shouts, Luke found that in his mind was neither on his possible future with the Alliance nor on the chance of traveling adventurously with Han Solo and Chewbacca. Instead, unlikely as Solo claimed it might be, he found his full attention occupied by the radiant Leia Organa. She noticed his unabashed stare, but this time she only smiled. Wink, wink. Okay, Star Wars, Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, by Donald F. Glut, based on a story by George Lucas. Let's see how many pages the first chapter is, and maybe I'll read it. Let's see, Chapter 2 is on page 272. Chapter 1 is on page 259. Okay, we'll save that for another day. Okay, so now that we've reached the end of the book, why don't you guys tell me everything that you've discovered was different from the movies? Now remember, this book, Star Wars, came out 6 months before the movie did, and it's based off an earlier draft of the script for Star Wars, which would become A New Hope, or I guess Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. So there's a reason for all the discrepancies. This is really more about whether you guys were paying attention and what all the differences were. Hi, Iggy! Poke! He didn't like that. I like how you could just barely see his head right there. He's probably hungry. I'll feed him once I'm done. But yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys thought and what you guys discovered. Oh, I wish I have the skin over there, but a whole row of shed skin just came off the ridges on his back. It was so cool. Anyway, whoever can find the most differences between the book and the movie will win a special prize. And let's see. I don't know if I want you to have them in the comments, because then everybody could just take everybody else's answer. I don't know. How do you send direct messages on YouTube? I don't know how to do that anymore. They changed it so much. Iggy, don't you dare. It's going to be one of those days. Anyway, we'll work something out. You know what? Each difference, make a different comment. And then I'll just count the number that people whose name pops up as it, and then I won't. Never mind. You do what you want. Whoever wins, wins, and I'll do my best to accommodate for everybody. Anyway, is there anything to go over before I end this episode? Not really. I mean, it's going to be super short. I mean, it already is super short, especially compared to that behemoth that was the one before. Admittedly, it's not the longest video I've had. That goes to the finale of South Park. Although technically, I guess the Man-Bear Pig one was the finale. Anyway, that's not important. Hey, turtles. I think we're just about done. I can't think of anything. Okay. Thanks you guys for watching. Like I said, let me know down in the comments all the differences that you found, and If you guys notice one that I didn't see, I will let you know. And whoever, okay, maybe we can do it like that. Put down as many differences that you've noticed, and if you say one that I didn't notice, you get a special prize. Regardless, if someone says something and then you say it again, and I believe that you didn't just copy it from somebody else, you will both win. Or, you know, however many people guess or say the same thing. Anyway, that's not important. I guess it kind of actually is important if we want to make this contest work. I don't know anymore. Until next time, goodbye everybody, and thanks for watching. Dang it!